This is analysis of Miss Beam's butterfly.
Take your mark. Go.
We can see that she has an excellent entry and good breakout. She does an excellent job of keeping her body position high in the water. One thing that she can really afford to work on, though, is when she takes this breath, we see that her head really pops up out of the line of her body. Okay? We want her to keep her chin in line with her body. So right here we can see that her head comes considerably up out of the line of her body. And what we want to do is we want to keep that head in line with our body so that and as we'll see in the underwater video, this causes our body to continue to stay more streamlined even when we take a breath. Another thing that we want to really focus on when we take that breath is when we come up to take our breath, we want to make sure that our head leads our hands into the water, so we can see that it's almost simultaneous. She can improve her timing on that breathing pattern slightly by making sure that she's pressing her T and tucking that chin down before her arms enter the water, which will allow the momentum of her upper body to carry her hands through the beginning of the catch. She has good timing on her kick. She uses her hips very well. We can see that her back and hips stay up. The only time that she really comes vertical is when she comes up to take that breath. As we can see again, her body starts to get very vertical because her head is going so far up. So when her chin is pushed up this way, we see that it forces her hips down. So forcing the chin up forces the hips down. So we want to try to keep our head in line with our body so that our hips stay in line with our body as well and don't get forced down. So we can see on this turn, similar to the breaststroke turn, we want to make sure we don't climb up the wall. Let's stay low to the wall, keep our eyes on the hand on the wall, right on this hand here, and keep our shoulders parallel to the wall. Our shoulders and head we want to keep parallel to the wall so that when we come in and out we stay in an exactly straight line and not swing out to the side. Julie knows exactly how many fly kicks she's going to take off of every wall in backstroke and butterfly now. We can see as she starts to get more tired, her stroke gets more vertical as she takes that breath. You can see that she really starts to get vertical this way when she takes the breath, which causes her a lot of resistance, prevents her from carrying that momentum forward and keeping her body parallel on top of the water. Instead of on top of the water, she is like an L, or a backwards L. To make sure she really focuses on pressing that T when she takes a breath. And even when she's not taking a breath, that's going to help her keep her hips up higher in the water. We want to be careful about our knee bend when we kick, especially on strokes when we take a breath. We'll be able to see that considerably better on the underwater 25. We also want to be careful not to take a breath on this last stroke into the wall. When we're this close into the wall, we want to tuck that head and get in as fast as we can. This is underwater analysis of Julia's butterfly. You can see Julia does a great job with her underwater kicks here, and she has an excellent stroke. She really does an excellent job of pressing down this T here. We can see she really leads that stroke with the T. Her head enters the water before her hands, and it forces her hands through the early part of that catch. And it also forces her hips back up, which allows her to stay higher in the water and swim with more power and efficiency. We can see that it's very easy for her, especially early in the stroke, early in the 25, to keep that body position high. One thing we want to be careful of is that we don't hesitate and get our hands caught at our sides here when we take a breath. We can see when we watch in slow motion that it really forces her to lose the streamline of her body right here. So when she comes up for that breath, we can see how vertical she gets this way. It also causes her knees to bend, which forces her hips down in the water. This knee bend here increases the drag on her body, which forces her hips down and decreases her hydrodynamic ability to stay high in the water. So we need to be very careful that when we take a breath, we don't allow our knees to bend too much, and that we continue to kick through our hips. We also don't want to get caught with our hands at our side. See, she does an excellent job of pressing the T, and that really forces her hips to stay higher. Really, this hesitation right here, where she gets her hands caught at her side when she takes picks her head up for a breath, is causing her hips to drop down, and as a result, her knees bend greatly in this kick. We want to make sure that we keep our recovery constant. We don't want to get caught when we take a breath with our hands at our side. We can see she doesn't have nearly the same issue when she doesn't take the breath. It's just when she takes the breath that she really starts to lose that efficiency and causes her hips and body position to drop in the water. So we can do that by focusing on making sure that we really kick from our hips and keeping our underwater or overwater recovery consistent.